Welcome to the Pen Leader Podcast, where strategic leaders get straight to the topics, strengthening our awareness and sharpening our minds. The Pen Leader Podcast is produced by Roar, a production division of Mays & Associates Ltd. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Now here is your award-winning host, Dr. Shanda Gore.
And welcome back to the Pen Leader Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about podcasting impacts reading. And I'm excited to have with me today Miss Tisha Mays, who is the president and founder of aMAYSing Kids Broadcasting Media Mentorship Program, which is a 501c3 organization focused on closing the reading gap and encouraging a love for reading in young students. She has an extensive experience in broadcasting. She started her tenure at WJUC 107.3, and she served as a long-time on-air personality, production director, and internship coordinator. So she's worked with students much of her career. She currently is also a lecturer at the University of Toledo, serving as a faculty advisor at U Toledo's radio station, WXUT 88.3. She does so much in podcasting, social media, and she has a BA in mass communication for radio and television from the University of Akron, a Master of Arts in strategic communication with a specialization in interactive media from Bowling Green State University. She has an associate's degree from Eastern Gateway Community College. She is currently completing her PhD at Bowling Green State University, which is also my alma mater, so I'm very glad to see that. She's a fellow Falcon. And she's a strong believer in community involvement and this commitment. And she's won so many awards from organizations from just all her work for aMAYSing Kids. So I'm just so glad to have her on the show. So welcome, Tisha.
Dr. Gore, thank you so much. You know, it is truly an honor to be sitting here with you today. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, I have to say, really, in watching your career blossom and do more, I'm excited to have you do this. But I really wanted to think about and talk about your passion. I think about how you probably got started, but can you share your journey on why starting and being the president and founder of this organization is so near and dear to you?
Yeah, so I'll give you the condensed, or try to condense it because we have just little time. So before I went into radio, before I went in as my major in radio television, I wanted to be a teacher. So my first semester at the University of Akron was early childhood education. So that was already at my heart. And I ended up finding the radio station. I was like, wait a minute, what do I do? You know, and then so I found myself at the radio station and I said, radio, television, that's my passion. I want to be a broadcaster. That's my dream. I want to be on morning radio. I want to move to New York City and, you know, just be on the air, have my own syndicated radio show. Mm-hmm. So I went to the University of Akron with my broadcasting. And then I moved here as soon as I graduated to work for the Juice as a co-host on the morning show, the Juice Morning Crew. So I spent some time doing that, and then I worked during middays, and I was production director and internship coordinator, and I had actually created a 6-week internship program for college students. And so the University of Toledo's media and communication chair at the time had been looking for opportunities for students. At that time, I was also speaking to an audio production 1 class with one of my dear friends now, Dr. Dave Strukel, and I would serve as a guest speaker. And so I met with the chair of the department, and you know, we went out for lunch, and I said, hey, you know, here's an internship program. And he said, wow, this is a syllabus, like this is a course. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, let's see how this goes. My dear friend went on to a different institution, and his position came up, and I was then hired in as an adjunct instructor. So during that time, still working full-time in radio and teaching part-time, I started substituting within Toledo Public Schools. So, and at the time, my now 17-year-old and I had two other young children in the school system. I substituted, and it was difficult to be in the spaces where I noticed that these kids were not engaging and they were not excited about reading. I started doing my homework. And then at that time also, I had started my master's program at Bowling Green. I was like, okay, you know what? I want to do this. So my interests began to shift. So I was kind of stepping out of more of the radio side of things. I really enjoyed teaching and engaging with students on the college level. And I liked being in the classroom with these young kids. And I said, okay, well, let's see. These kids are not interested. They're not engaging in reading. And I started doing my research, and I was finding out about how this reading gap, especially in underrepresented communities, when it comes to reading and engagement and these literacy skills. So then, I would take these assignments and I would go to schools that were at risk. And I started bringing my podcasting equipment to my substitute assignments. I would put the microphone in front of them. They would have their ELA, their vocabulary words, and they would talk in the mic. And they started engaging and having conversations using their vocabulary words and their spelling words. And then we're pulling news stories, things that were happening in the classroom, things that were happening in the community. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on, I got something here. Wait a minute. And I started using those same techniques with my kids at home. And I was like, let's see something. So I put together a proposal and I started kind of writing this out. It just became a brain dump of, my experiences in the classroom. And then also the data that I was collecting, information that I was pulling from Odoo's website, like what's happening, looking at the numbers, looking at the report cards, and just kind of really doing my homework. And then that's where aMAYSing Kids came from. I had put together a proposal and, did a whole strategic plan and started reaching out and tapping into resources. And then as I was getting ready to come up with some sort of fundraising event so I could purchase equipment that I needed in order to host a summer workshop. So in 2021, we're coming off of COVID, or in the mix of COVID here, and the city of Toledo had launched the CARES Act grant through Parks and Youth Services.
You know what? I do remember when that occurred, and it was very clear that they were really looking for programs that could also be sustainable.
Sure.
Long-term impacts.
Yes. And that's what happened. And so I was like, where am I going to get this money to do this program? I know it works. I need a set of kids. I need some kids. I need to be able to offer this programming, but I don't have anything to go with, right?
Right.
And so I applied, and the city of Toledo awarded me $2,500. And I used every dime of it to purchase every single thing that I needed in order to run this summer program. We ran it for 8 weeks, and I had invited some of my students to work as interns to help work with the program, work with the kids. And I had blasted it out to my media networks, my professional networks, and they came in and they worked with the kids and was hands-on. And I had gotten feedback from the families and the kids at the start. So this program, we had 100 kids that entire summer, and we went from 9:30 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Friday in the summer of 2021. At the end of that, it was, we have something here. And it has been on ever since. So now we have served over 1,000 kids. We offer summer and after school programming. We have been in TPS, we've been in some charter schools and even some of our Catholic schools in the area. And we are offering programming year round. And the city of Toledo has been a strong supporter of our program and has funded it for years. And we have gotten grants through the Greater Toledo Community Foundation. And so, with the support. So now we're able to sustain programming, and it's actually scaled a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to at this point.
Well, let me address that too, because the scaling is so critically important, especially something that impacts and has life-changing results. Sure. Because we have listeners, not only in the Toledo area, but we have listeners now in 36 states or been downloaded.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. This podcast,
Yes, congratulations to you.
Yes. And then we have those downloaded in 13 countries. For those that are interested in a program like this,
sure,
that are not local and don't know where to start, because you have the formula, what would you suggest as a leader in this space? What would you suggest that they do?
So that is something that I am working on too. Yes. So now we are to where we have this, I would say, almost well-oiled machine on how to execute this programming, how to approach potential schools, organizations, community folks to kind of get into the schools and reach those kids in need. So we've kind of got that down here. But now I'm working on packaging this program so I can help other districts and help other cities to execute this type of programming into their school system. And something that I had been watching, since 2021 is now the state of Ohio Common Core Standards, the Department of Education, Ohio Workforce and Development, I apologize. Now they have just added, and I have been watching this draft for years, is the Fine Arts Standard. Which entails everything that we're doing. Media literacy, and using integrated media tools, and these students understanding integrated media, interactive media. And since the start in 2021, part of that plan, every lesson or every experience that our students, our babies go through, it was attached to a Common Core English ELA standard. So now not only are lessons connected to the ELA standards, now I've attached it to the media arts standard. I'm learning how to, so they're lessons and they're lessons, and we're trying to find innovative ways and just to keep it engaging for these kids.
So someone who's interested in doing this, they should probably seek out your website.
100%. Yes.
And contact you.
Yes.
Because it's a formula that's working. It's been working. And the key here, again, this epidemic, I will say epidemic of the not being able to read. And I know after COVID, it got worse. You're addressing that in a way that incorporates podcasting, which is interesting. It has grown even from over a few months. I was looking at some statistics from like February of 2024 just to August. It jumped another 40 to 56 million downloads in podcasting world.
Yes.
And so it's not getting smaller. It's not shrinking.
It's not.
People are going to it for news and information. And how have you seen it grow since you got this started?
Oh, it has. And, like you said, you hit that. You're right. Spot on with that. I mean, that's how a lot of people are engaging. Where I stand, I see that it was during COVID. That was our outlet. We were able to engage because we were stuck at home. And this was a creative and engaging way that we were able to just get our thoughts out. And then you're like, wait a minute, you can do more with this? You can add video to this? Right? So now I'm able to connect with people in the way that, because we were missing that. And so not only is the listenership, and now we say viewership of podcasting going up, revenue's going up. And so now advertisers, this is where they're going for audiences now.
It's amazing how with the reach, and you just don't know who's listening. And then the leaders, we focus this particular podcast on leadership and those that lead the way in their particular areas, the philosophies that they bring to the table because they're successful, you're successful, and you are a leader in the space. And so we want to encourage others to listen to that. And we have the 3 attributes of being sharp. You are clearly educated and experienced in your area.
Thank you.
And you have a pathway, you have a plan, and you're straightforward, but also you have figured out how to pivot when you needed to, especially when it had to do with the finances for the program. And then you have strength. It sounds like you've been through a lot and you've seen a lot. How's this impacted you personally?
It is just to see these babies. I mean, first of all, it's God. I think that, he has led my steps from what I went to school for, right? And it's like you sit back and you listen and you say, hold on a minute. I have a purpose. My purpose is leading me in. And I think about my why. My why is my family, my kids, my husband, my family, my parents, my siblings. And so when I think about when things get hard, I think about the students at UT that most of them have never seen or had a professor that looked like them. I go to aMAYSing Kids and I envision a pipeline where we start these babies at an early age, excite them about reading, but also introduce them to a potential career so they can see folks, see media professionals, see leaders come in and seeing what they can be. Mm-hmm. Having University of Toledo or just students in general, college students coming in as interns and interacting with these students, but also demonstrating the importance of giving back to the community and connecting professionally with these media professionals that are coming in. So they're taking it all in too, and saying, you know what, not only am I going to eventually be part of a platform, own my own platform, but what is my why and how am I going to engage in my community? Mm-hmm. And so when they get to that professional level, they turn around and they give back. I see these babies and I see their faces and I see kids who have not, who are afraid to talk, and engage with other kids, laughing and smiling with one another and just expressing themselves in ways that they might not would have, or they never have. Over the summer, I ran a trial program for kids with autism at the library. It was designated for them because I have a lot of children that have ASD have participated in my program. That is one thing that I've always promoted, is that it's inclusive, and we encourage any children with special needs to be part of our program, because there's something about touching the equipment and the lights and just expressing your thoughts and your feelings in a creative way that excites them. And it's one of those things where now I'm working to cultivate that and educate myself a little more, because those babies loved it. It's special. So
I think that the uniqueness too, I'm excited to watch this grow and blossom. Yes. What advice would you give anyone who's entering this space, who cares, who wants to connect with, support, wants to do a podcast, or wants to tie reading into a podcast? I know one thing is we've said they need to look at your website, yes, which is it aMAYSingkids.com?
aMAYSingkids.org. aMAYSingkids.org. You're able to reach me. I have a site coordinator, but my number's there. Please reach out to me. You can see a lot of the work that our kids have done. Mm-hmm. And then the story is there too. I would encourage you, because I came from a space of, I didn't know about nonprofit. Like, I knew what I know, and it was media, it was broadcasting. But I would say educate yourself. Educate yourself, and don't be afraid to take in as much information as you can. Utilize resources that are in the area, whether it is your library, if you find something online, but educate yourself on not only, the work that you do, but also how to, the process of creating a business or a nonprofit. Use those resources with starting a business. I mean, I knew nothing about it, but so you got to make sure that you are, you're educating yourself, but also be patient. You got to be patient. Mm-hmm. Be patient, be humble. Patient and be humble. And if it's in your heart and you love it, they will help you. People want to do good. People, especially when it comes to kids, right? So you just got to make sure you have a good product, you have a good vision, and you're thinking far out. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to fundraising, grassroots fundraising, go back to the basics on that. We're learning, how nonprofits, and we're thinking about funding and grant and all that stuff. Just think long term and collaborate with other organizations.
That's excellent. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and giving those points of wisdom and a clear understanding and pathway. And your passion comes through so much.
Thank you.
And I think of the generations you've impacted in a positive way. You may not see it all now, but it does have those wonderful, I would say ramifications for the future for so many in those families. So thank you so much for coming on, Tisha.
Dr. Gore, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure.
Excellent. And we'd like to welcome anyone from input concerning the Pen Leader podcast. We appreciate you listening and sharing the show. If you have any input for the show, please reach out at info@aMAYSAssociatesltd.com. And of course, until next time.
The Pen Leader Podcast is hosted by Dr. Shanda Gore and brought to you by aMAYSing Associates Ltd, creating customized solutions for growth in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning, and culture building. Find out more at www.aMAYSAssociatesltd.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pen Leader Podcast and share with others.